Okay, I have spent 25 of the last 48 hours on ferries and trains, traveling across multiple international borders. I barely just got home. My cats have a vet appointment later, and I am bombed. But what if they were Silk Song? What if that? What if there was? What if there was Silk Song? Now, personally, I I sort of half suspect that Xbox has nailed down the right to announce the Silk Song the Silk Song launch date after how Team Cherry just hung them out to dry um about that announcement way back when. So I think that'll be the sort of thing that Xbox will show off at some point in order to get eyes on whatever their next, like, whatever the hell they're doing when everything's an Xbox. Well, like, probably Xbox will announce the release date for Silksong, and it'll come out the same day on Xbox and Switch, but not PlayStation. I think that's probably what's gonna happen. Who the fuck knows? There's not going to be any Silksong. There's not going to be any Silksong. But if there is Silksong, if Silksong does happen, which it won't, but if it does, I'm predicting it right now that it's definitely going to happen. It's not going to happen, but I'm predicting that it's going to happen. And so if it does happen, I want credit for correctly predicting that it was going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, well, I said very clearly to you just now that it's not going to happen, and that I'm not predicting that it's going to happen, and so no one should post the clown makeup memes at me, because if I didn't say it was going to happen, I just said that it was going to happen, but then I didn't say that it was going to it was supposed to start by now, actually. I don't know how much more I can vamp on this intro. But yeah, I don't know, I wasn't really planning to do a reaction to this thing, but then the demonic little thought crept up into the back of my head. It's like, well, what if they do announce Silksong this time? Like, what if they do? What if they do announce it this time, and I don't have a live reaction to it? What if that? What if that? I would be a failure as a content creator. I would be a failure as a human person. I think there would be a deep schism that happened in my soul in that very moment. And the part of my soul that breaks off will, like, slither out the side of my body as like a shadow form and disappear into the night, where it will fester and slowly gain power until a great tide of darkness comes rolling across the land, and the prophecies of the elderly sages who live on top of the Shadow Mountain, or whatever, will say that now it is my destiny to travel forth and claim the sword of my father, and thus strike down the evil that I myself have created. And upon that hero's journey, I encounter many different companions. I gain artifacts and wisdom and knowledge. I undergo a kind of symbolic death and a travel to the underworld, wherein I sort of gain a kind of mystical insight that allows me to overcome the inherent flaws in my character that caused this thing. It's actually live, and it's been live for a while now. I just hadn't clicked it actually live. Okay, I'm an idiot. I think that'll get us to live. I accidentally just paused the live stream. Is what I did. There we go. Now it's live. I was wondering why the fuck it wasn't starting. That might be a little loud. Oh, Mina the Hollower. God, I downloaded the demo, but then I didn't play it because I knew that if I played the demo, I'd be like, fuck, I need to play this whole fucking thing now. It's that thing of, like, when you play a demo for a game that you already know you're gonna absolutely love, and then you play the demo, it's like, oh, I can only play the demo. There's not any more of the actual game left for me to play, and it's miserable, because Mina the Hollower is gonna be so fucking good, y'all. Like, it's Yakuza Games. They know what the fuck they're doing. First of all, they've been working on this for so long. I backed the Kickstarter for it way the hell back when. And looking at the pixel art, like, they're doing the Game Boy thing, right? But they're just doing it to the absolute maximum of its possible potential.
Welcome to Indie World. I'm Ariko.
There's been a lot of, like, Game Boy.
We're back to showcase
Yes, hello,
a
cheerful
batch of
Nintendo.
new indies coming to the Nintendo Switch
quiet.
2 and Nintendo Switch
There's been a lot of indie games that are sort of messing with a Game Boy style aesthetic, right? Like playing with the aesthetics of that specific generation of pixel art. Mina the Hollower is by far the most beautiful I have seen so far. Like, there's been a lot of really interesting, very good ones. Mina the Hollower has a completeness to it that I just adore very deeply, and I'm so excited for that game.
And without further ado, let's dive into some titles for Nintendo Switch.
Well, it's not Silksong, but it's definitely Hollow Knight-ish. Which, like, it's not really fair. It's like a side-scrolling Metroidvania. The Hollow Knight-ness mostly comes from its, like, what I feel about its aesthetic approach. Although this looks much more sort of motion clean, I guess. But like that way that the character gained the slingshot was like, this looks much more motion clean than Hollow Knight sort of hand animated style. And it's a style of game like this. I don't have a bad word to say about it. It's, oh, that's a very cool boss character design. But that style of animation, that sort of puppety, like everything sort of velvety and flowing, just not my kind of thing.
Programadora e escritora do jogo. Quando começamos a fazer o Neverway, nós nos inspiramos em vários
kind of the
elementos de
same,
jogos que a gente
kind of
ama.
the same way
E nisso
with
tentamos criar
the level
algo
design that those games often have. It tends to be just kind of a series of hallways with like, oh, here's a floating platform. And Hollow Knight, like one of the things that Hollow Knight did so well was that it managed a really, really strong theming.
You ever want to quit your job, move to a farm, and become the immortal herald of a dead deity?
Okay,
Sounds
so we're
intriguing.
doing
Tell me more.
It sounded intriguing to
Cthulhu
Fiona
Stardew
too,
Valley.
who hopes to survive this unusual set of circumstances in Neverway, a nightmarish life sim RPG co-created by the pixel artist of Celeste.
That's
with
right,
an
we should
original
count how many
soundtrack from the
Stardews
composer for
we're getting,
Fez
shouldn't we?
and Hyperlight Drifter.
very
Nightmarish?
interesting monochromatic palette.
Don't worry, these circumstances come with the sword that Fiona
That's
uses
another.
to explore
We're talking about the
and
Game Boy
fight
aesthetic a
through the
little bit, right?
Neverway,
Like this is
an
also very much
alternate
that,
reality
in that it's
leaking into her
emulating
own.
that monochromatic
sounds
palette
intense.
that Game Boy games
Is she
usually have.
alone?
Not at all. Along the way, she'll meet a variety of charming characters, each with their own unique routines and story to follow.
Really, the falling down on
Befriend,
someone thing?
romance, or deceive them to unlock buffs and combat abilities to help you on your journey.
Okay, I might have to give this immortal herald thing
But okay,
a
we're
whirl.
doing like
Answer the call.
Stardew Bloodborne.
Persist through this deadly
Also
dimension.
Undertale.
Engage in
Well, no.
fast-paced combat.
That doesn't
and
look
pay
too
off
bad.
your debt when
Aesthetically, it looks very
Neverway
good.
descends onto Nintendo Switch next year.
What was I talking about? I don't know. Oh, right, the herding game. I want to play that, but it needs to be possible for none of the creatures to ever die. It has to be possible to do a perfect run where none of them die and nothing bad ever happens to them whatsoever. It's fine if it's oh, there's a threat of death and things like that. That's fine. That's okay. It's like that can happen to lesser players, but I need to be able to get all of them to the mountain or wherever we're going safely, and none of them get hurt. And there's no, if a little calf thing sad lies dead on the thing, if one of the adults dies and then the little one goes up
Publisher
and
of Firewatch comes
notches it with his
Herdling,
nose and
new
says,
adventure from
get
the
up. And like,
creators
no,
of the
no,
acclaimed
can't play
Fall
that.
series.
Cannot play that video
In
game.
this
That's a
tale
bad
of
video
beauty
game
and
because of,
companionship,
it
guide
makes
a
me
herd of
sad.
mysterious creatures into the mountains and beyond.
It
The
needs to be
journey
possible
will
to
be
do a perfect run.
challenging but breathtaking as you traverse
I'm being
fog-wreathed
facetious.
forests,
It would probably
forgotten
be pretty good
valleys,
if at some
and
point it becomes
snowy
inevitable that you
plateaus.
lose at least
As you
one.
cross these diverse biomes,
I feel like that
discover
would be
more
pretty
of the fabled
compelling as
beasts
part of
known
the
as
storytelling of
Calicorns
what it's like to
and
herd.
add them to your herd.
You'll also encounter eerie dangers, formidable obstacles,
Ooh,
and
interesting.
environmental puzzles as you climb higher
They're like
and forge
books.
your way to the mystery at the summit.
Wield your staff to guide
That's one
the
thing I have
Calicorns
not
and
really been
join
able to
their
divine a
exhilarating
theme
stampedes.
That this
Embark
game
on a tale
is
of trust and survival when Herdling
pushing towards, like, it's
climbs
doing sort of
onto
the journey
Nintendo
thing,
Switch
right? Like, with the
August
journey is the point.
21st.
But Journey was
Pre-orders
also very
begin
specifically about like
later
a hero's
today
journey,
on
cycle of life
Nintendo
kind of
eShop.
thing. I wonder what Herdling is trying to do. I'll play it, but
Window seat or aisle?
Window. Booth
is this
or
another
table?
Wilmot's
Boo.
warehouse thing?
Lone wolf or life of the party?
Ooh, now that's a tough one.
Well, those are the types of decisions you'll have to make in this pleasant puzzle game, where you organize groups of
Okay,
people
it's not
according to their
Wilmot's
preferences.
warehouse, but
You're in charge of who
it's sort of
sits
in
where.
that
Play
aesthetic.
seating matchmaker to please picky characters by dropping them into social situations and watching them react.
Do not ever
Discover
drop me
each
into a social
character's
situation.
unique traits, from the relatable to the outlandish. Everyone has a seat at the table.
Piece together these satisfying puzzles at your own pace.
It's a cute
and
aesthetic for a
unlock
puzzle
fun new
game like that,
scenarios like bus rides,
like a
banquets,
series of
limo
conditionals that
rides,
you have to sort of
and more.
find a pattern that
Sit
fulfills.
back, relax,
That
and
can get
find the perfect
really
spot for
devilishly
everyone
complex
in.
if you do it
Is
right.
this seat taken? Launching on Nintendo Switch later today.
That looks cute. That looks low stakes.
Your favorite big
Hey!
city just got even bigger.
That's
the
right.
DLC?
Little Kitty Big City is back with a free update, chock full of brand new opportunities for mischief.
Use the cat customizer to give your
Little
kitty
Kitty Big
a
City is one of
fresh
those
new
games that I
look.
keep
Or
meaning,
even
like I keep like
recreate
surely
your favorite fur ball.
I want to
Once
make
you're
a video
looking
about the way they
meowvelous,
animate that fucking
head
cat.
out into the city to
'cause it's
explore
so
new
good.
areas, make new friends, and check
But New
in
Frame
on
Plus
some
kind of already did
familiar
it.
faces.
And like,
Get your
yeah,
paws
do I have
dirty
anything new to say about
as
it?
you
I don't know.
learn
It's
skills from your puppy
it's
pal,
just-
or strut your stuff for the fanciest
because
feline
it's
celebrity
not
in
realistic.
the whole
It has
wide
a naturalism
city.
to
With
it.
a catwalk
but
like
it's-
that, it's a good thing you can
it
also
strikes
unlock
such a
additional
perfect
camera
balance
mode features to capture it all.
between
Say cheese.
like
That's
naturalism and
not
like
a cat
capturing a
You
realistic
gotta be
feel
kidding me.
of cat
The
movement.
Little Kitty
But
Big City
with that
free
cartoony
picture
exaggeration, just
perfect
enough of it that it
update
doesn't look
launches
stupid,
on Nintendo
or like
Switch
it doesn't look
this
look
year.
like a cartoon as such. It just has that little extra pop to it.
We hope you're looking forward to the
Which I
Nintendo
really,
Switch
really
games
like.
you just saw.
Next up, let's take a look at some indies bound for Nintendo Switch 2.
So these are ports.
Hey,
then?
we're back.
Back and under attack.
What? Ah! Put on a brave face. Squad up with your friends.
Nintendo's
and
presenters
hop
are
into
such
the
an
diving
interesting
bell as
bunch
you
because
try
they're
to go
clearly
viral
like
in
the
the
presenters
online
have
co-op
clearly been
horror game.
told to give the
Content
presentation
warning.
the way that
Grab
they
your
do,
camera,
where it sounds like an
courage,
HR
and
training video.
cursed items for some shenanigans down
it's-
in the depths of the old world.
Film as
and there are
many
parts of it
happenings
that are sort of
as
like, it's
possible
kind of annoying,
before
the
you run
fake
out of breath,
cheerfulness
batteries,
and
or
the
buddies.
As long
the
as
fake
one of you makes
informality.
it back to the
But on the other
surface,
hand, like
you can upload
there's
your
also
footage
such
to
an
SpookTube,
artifice
grab some
to
popcorn,
that way of
and
presenting
watch the
that's
views
so
roll
obvious,
in.
right?
You've
Which
got
I
3
find
days to hit your view
honestly
quota.
more agreeable
More eyeballs
than the way
equal
that like
more
you know there was this
moolah.
fad
And the
for a
more
long
ad
time
revenue
about
you can
when
generate,
companies
the
would show
better
off
gear
multiplayer
you can
titles, they would
acquire
do like
for
that
your
thing
next
of like
run. What could
have
possibly go
actors
wrong?
pretending like they're
Fame and
in-game
misfortune
chatting
await
with
in
each other,
content
which is
warning.
like no one
Coming
ever
to
swears,
Nintendo
so I know that
Switch
that's
2
bullshit.
and Nintendo Switch
But like they were
next
actors
year.
pretending like, oh, we're playing the game and we're chatting to each other on voice
Hi,
chat. And
I'm Kenny Sun,
all
and today I'm excited to share Ball Pit. It's an action roguelite that fuses elements inspired by some of my favorite games, like Hold Down, Vampire Survivors, and Loop Hero.
that
I'm working
man
with
has
an
a
amazing
fruit on
team
his
of
head.
artists who have brought the world to life with a beautiful low polypixel art style, as well as composer Amos Roddy, whose pulse-pounding soundtrack locks you into the rhythm of the action. We can't wait to
That's
share with
kind
you
of
all.
mesmerizing.
Time
doing a
to
good
have
job,
a
Cynthia.
ball in the
Oh,
brand new
interesting.
survival roguelike.
Oh, it's fucking, it's
Ball Pit.
In the
Arkanoid.
ruins of old Balbalon, you'll battle through auto-scrolling levels with brick-breaking style
Oh, it's not
attacks
Arkanoid. Yeah, well,
using
yeah,
a
it
bevy
is.
of
It's sort of-
balls that bounce
What if
around the
Arkanoid was
battlefield.
like a
You
bullet
better
hell.
believe it.
That
there
is
are over
interesting.
60 randomized balls.
Oh,
to
no,
equip
it's
and
right, it was a
combine
Vampire
during your
Survivor. That-
journey.
oh, no, I can't download
Experiment
that.
with powerful and
if they get that
unexpected
even a
synergies
little
to
bit right, I
blast
can't
your way
download
through
that.
the pit.
Collect
I
resources
can't.
as you progress to
It's
build
got
out
a
a new
good
Balbalon
aesthetic, though.
with over
Like, there's some
70 distinct buildings, earning you additional
interesting
power-ups,
mix
bonuses,
of
characters, and more.
pixel art
Each
and
region of
low
the pit
poly.
offers
That
its
is actually
own
quite
special
cool.
set of hazards, on top of swarms of increasingly
that
challenging
looks
foes
like it would eat me
and
alive a
mighty
little bit.
screen-filling
At least for a while, I would. I
This pit
feel like I
is
might get
packed.
completely obsessed with that.
Fortunately, you'll meet other treasure hunters along the
Oh,
way
no.
who can add their
It's
individual
oddly
skills and
aesthetically
upgradable
incoherent,
powers
but in a way
to
that
your
kind of makes
arsenal.
sense.
Experimentation and adaptation are crucial to the success of new Balbalon.
Like, the
so
portraits
go out
that they're showing
and
of the
create
characters are, like,
total
fully
chaos against
sort of
the approaching hordes
approaching
in
a sort
Ball
of
Pit.
Not
Bouncing
quite
its
Darkest
way
Dungeon,
onto
but like that level of
Nintendo
like
Switch
grittiness
2
kind of thing.
this
But then
fall.
the aesthetic itself in the
And
game is so
Nintendo
cartoony.
Switch,
But it kind of
October
works. I don't
15th.
know. Well, that's a streamer game or a party game kind of thing. Yeah, it's one of those, and that's fine. Like you could always use another Game Beasts or Happy Wheels, I guess, which is fine. What the hell was I saying? Right, the presentation style of the presenters. Like, there's always a level of artifice and fakeness, right? Like when companies do advertising representing. With the Nintendo thing, because it's so obviously like I am corporately cheerful at you in a very sort of HR training video kind of way, it feels a little bit more honest than when other companies try to do like their thing of like, aha, we're just friends hanging out playing the video games on stage for the trailer. Like,
カイです。グレイシャドウは
Because the
私のホー
artifice
ム
is
で
a
ある
little bit
北
more
海道の
obvious.
豊かな生態系や寒冷な気候からインスピレーションを受けて生まれました。
音楽ではその世界に共鳴すべく声も多用して情景を描きました。
Like I've seen
自然にインスパイアされた
images
そ
and
れでいて
video of the winters they
JRPG 的
get
な
up
スパイ
there.
スの効いたアクションゲームです。遠い未来の海に住む会長の市場として彼らの視点で展開する物語を
And
楽
it's
しん
something
でく
that
ださ
I
い。
think it's very nice that they're taking some more inspiration from.
65 million years in the future, the Everwinter has encased Earth within a permanent layer of ice. But under the surface, a new chapter unfolds.
What?
In Glaciered, you play as a Twi, an
Wait,
evolved
I've
avian
seen-
species
I think Iron
descended from
Pineapple played that?
dinosaurs, endowed with the abilities needed to protect the Everwinter oceans.
These
For, like, one of
stunning
his Souls
underwater worlds
video
are
things? That
full
must
of
have been a much, much
mysteries that
earlier
are
build.
waiting to be explored and defended.
Okay,
As
so
you swim through
mostly
these scenic
underwater.
vistas, you'll engage ferocious
Underwater
marine
movement
beasts
and
in
underwater
real-time
combat is not an
Unleash
easy thing to
melee
get right, 'cause you
and
can't
ranged
do it
attacks,
like
along with special
robot combat in
abilities
space,
to fell
right?
these foes.
Because it has to
Use
have the feeling of
experience
being in
gained
water,
from these
and that changes so
battles
much
to
about
build
how
up
you have
your
to animate,
Twi's
how you have to
wings and
handle
various
and
abilities
move
to become the Everwinter's
the
ultimate
behaviors of
protector.
characters when
Get
like
ready
you're
to
doing
soar the
water
seas
physics.
at the end of time.
That's not an
in
easy thing to get
Glaciered,
right.
Launching as a
I'd be
timed
curious.
console exclusive on the Nintendo Switch 2 system this holiday.
I'd be curious.
Before we go, let's check out a few more exciting indie
Oh,
games
what, it's already
heading
over?
to Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch.
I cannot believe your guys are making me upload a video to my channel that's less than an hour long. Right, Winter Borrow. Very much like what if Stone Star but too nice. I didn't like the aesthetic of it. Ooh, is that? No, that's not from them. Okay. That looks kind of satisfying though. Maybe that Titan for power assuming of it. The loot box thing turns me off immediately. Caves of you should play Caves of Cut, by the way. If you have any affection for, or if you want to know what the vibe feeling is of playing like really old school RPGs, Caves of Cut. Play it. The writing is also brilliant. Read everything. Well, not everything. A lot of the writing is procedurally generated, but read everything that's written custom. Photography game? Whoa, big. Why is that horse kind of? Don't flip that. UFO 50. I have it on my Steam, and I really should have been playing it for ages already.
That's all for today's Indie World. We hope
Really?
you
Okay,
enjoyed
that
the
was-
games in today's showcase.
That wasn't bad at all.
A big thank you, as always, to our indie community and partners
also
for
wasn't
bringing
much.
their craft, adventures,
interesting
and
games here.
imaginations to players.
And
on
obviously, as I
Nintendo Switch
predicted,
2
I predicted
and
right at the start,
Nintendo
no Silk
Switch.
Song, because I
Follow our
predicted that
official
correctly, because
Indie
I
World
am the
account
predictor
to
who
stay
predicts
up
things,
to
and that was the
date
only thing
on
I
the
predicted.
latest news
I did
from
not
Indie
predict
World.
anything else.
Until next time, happy gaming!
I did not predict anything else, and anyone who says so or clips it is a liar. Okay, well, not much of an Indie World. It was brief presentation. I only managed to vamp about it for 20 minutes. But I guess it was just a little gap stopper. Nintendo definitely has the problem right now of like, hey Nintendo, when is there gonna be a killer app for the Switch 2, right? Like, because Bonanza is kind of that. I don't know how much it's been selling. It's been selling pretty well, I believe, but like it doesn't have a Zelda, it doesn't have a Mario, it doesn't have Metroid Prime 4 either yet, which isn't really. Unfortunately, Metroid never does as well as it should for what the series is. But the Switch 2 is really, like, it doesn't have the thing. Like, it doesn't have the game that you buy the Switch 2 for yet, really. Mario Kart World and Bonanza are good, but they're not that level of, like, oh, this is the game, right? And certainly, I wonder if they put all the trailers up individually on the Nintendo of America YouTube channel. They did. Cool. Then we can look back at a couple of them and maybe look at them in a little bit more detail, because there was. Right, I want to talk a little bit more about Well Dweller, actually. Yeah, it's a very few, really. It's Mina the Hollow, Well Dweller, Neverway, Hurdling, Is This Seat Taken, update for Little Kitty Big City. Content warning, I think, was also out on other platforms already. Bollocks Pit is... It seems really fucking dangerous to me, specifically. Another sort of streamer party game. Then Glaciered, which is interesting. I don't think I want to play it necessarily. Didn't look like my kind of game. But from an animation perspective, maybe that's worth taking a look at, the way they handle underwater movement. Winter Burrow, which was previously announced. Undusted, I don't think was previously announced, but it might have been. I just might have missed it on a Cozy Games summer thing. I do like the pixel aesthetic of that, though. But yeah, like, really not that... What is this Opus Prism Peak game, though? I don't think I... But I wanted to talk about this. Because I sort of immediately said, oh, it's a hollow. Like, this is our Silk Song for the
At the bottom of this well lives the only creature brave enough to kill the queen.
Okay, that's actually more interesting. But you see the motion aesthetic of this kind of animation, which I always lose my vocabulary of actual terminology whenever I need to talk about it. But you see this, right? Like the way that the character, as they're landing here and they squish down, that's not because an animator went and created bespoke characters being squished down animations for the sprite. It's they just took the sprite and went, squashed it, right? Like, it's just squash and stretching, specific, like just motion tweening between various states. And it's an animation style for this style of 2D animation that I identify it as a kind of puppetry, a kind of paper puppetry. What's the game with the girl who can't fight herself, but she gets like the spirits of the dead to fight for her, and they like she can use those as abilities to attack with? That has that kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of games that use this way of animating, right? That there is like pure fucking Hollow Knight, though. Like, that use that way of animating characters, where the character is not animated fully, but it's sort of inherent of the concept of limited animation, where, for example, the wings on the character, we aren't animating, you can kind of see that happening here, we aren't animating the character's body as a whole thing. We are just controlling this flipping motion of the wings independently. You can see the wing just kind of pops into existence here. We're just kind of rotating that independently and sort of moving the character like a shadow puppet. And I am not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying that's like inherently bad or whatever, but it's not to my taste. Like, when I see games like this, where clearly there's so much effort put into the character designs and really, really achieving a painterly style, right? Like, achieving a style that sort of shares the look and feel of handcrafted 2D animation, and then the way they actually render it is with this sort of digital puppetry thing. It's just not for me. Like, it's just not, I just don't like it that much, unfortunately. And it has turned me off from kind of a lot of games like this. Because there's something about that particular animation style. And this, again, it's a personal thing. It's not necessarily a problem with the game or the style. There's something about that style of animation, especially as it applies to like these idols, that to me, it has a feeling of artificiality, which is an odd thing to say because all animation is artificial. But like, this breathing cycle, this idle cycle that the character has, it is good animation, right? Like, because you have a lot of like motion arcs and like a lovely sort of separated, oh, it's a 60 frames per second trailer, goddammit, okay. Hard to frame by frame my way through. Right? Like, you can see all the elements of the character are moving independently. It's sort of emulating the idea of full animation, right? Like, it's emulating the level of movement that you get from full animation. And it's doing a good job at that. Like there's lots of beautiful independent motion, like a feeling of life that comes into the character. But I don't like it. Because the vibe, the feeling, the the subjective feeling that I get from that kind of animation always is I'm not seeing an animator move this character as much as I am seeing a computer sort of mechanically cycling through a series of mathematical instructions for how the character moves. And that's ridiculous because that's what 3D animation is as well, right? Like 3D animation is also a computer receiving instructions from an animator and then translating at like that's what my animation is right now with this little fucking so it's not like, oh, that's a bad thing when that happens. No, but that's the vibe. That's the emotional experience I have is it for me when I see this kind of animation. I don't feel like I'm seeing the hand of the animator as much as I am seeing the mathematical translation that a computer is doing of an animator's input. And that, yeah, it's completely subjective. It's completely vibes. It's just, I don't like the vibes of it. And I feel a dissonance as well, because you look at that fucking character right there. I can't zoom in on him, unfortunately. This character right here, that character is built for like full 2D, handmade full animation. The way that he's put together, right? Like same thing with the little bird guy. Like they are built for it. This boss monster is built to be hand animated, like frame by frame, full animation. Not necessarily a thing that's possible within the gameplay constraints of what the boss is supposed to be able to do in this scene, but the sort of puppeteer motion thing that they do, for some reason, it just takes me out of it. Like, for some reason, I just can't get behind it. Like, this character, like... Because I think that style of animation is really good for when the idea is they're supposed to look like puppets. When the idea is they're supposed to look like paper cutout puppets that sort of are coming to life. When you're doing a thing of like, oh, there's a painting that's kind of moving or whatever. When the aesthetic of this is a static flat picture which is being puppeteered by invisible strings, when that's the aesthetic that you're going for, then this style of animation works really well. When the aesthetic that you're going for is one where you're trying to really closely emulate the feel of full hand-drawn animation, then I think it doesn't work. And that's, again, where the comparison that Hollow Knight, and perhaps with Silksong, I guess we'll see. Hollow Knight, if you pay attention to the idle cycles and the motions and like the animation of characters in Hollow Knight, they have much less going on. Like they are much less active. There's much less motion happening on their characters than there are on the characters in this game, right? This style of animation can achieve much more motion for its characters, right, than the style of animation that Hollow Knight uses for most of its characters and character designs. But Hollow Knight feels better to me. And it's because I have this personal fixation, this personal love of 2D animation as a thing. And this hybrid between, like, paper cutout tween animation, puppet animation, and 2D animation, like, when one of them is sort of trying to look like the other, but not quite getting there, there's an uncanniness that just turns me off for some fucking reason. And again, I want to emphasize, this is not a thing of like, oh, this game is bad. This game has some beautiful fucking environments, some lovely character designs, genuinely. It just isn't for me. I just can't like it. Unfortunately, which is sad, because like there's clearly a lot of great art design and care put into it. The other thing I talked about, I think, when this trailer was first showing, is that some of these games I feel struggle to contextualize their environments in a way that makes sense. Like, for example, this is supposed to be like wide open fields, right? Out in the middle of... And so for me, like, the floating platforms and, like, there's a video gaminess to the way that some of the environments are rendered in games like this. Not just this one, but other games that take this style. Where, again, one of the things I think Hollow Knight did so well, not always perfectly, but one of the things Hollow Knight did very well is that it sort of justified the way its environments were put together, all the floating platforms and all, like, the weird geometry of the interior of it, because it's a bug's nest, right? Because it is this microscopic world of the bug's nest. where, like, yeah, of course, the internal geometry of this place, of course, there are platforms just kind of poking out of the wall in the background for no fucking reason, because it's a bug's nest. It's a bug's nest, right? So stuff is all being carved out by insects and things like that. They kind of make that work in a way, like when I think of something like the City of Tears, for example. Whereas looking at this, I'm using this game as an example because it's what I'm looking at, right? So here we're sort of playing with the same idea, right? That this is a tiny little crow creature, and there's a big, big human-sized world out there with giant creatures, like human-sized creatures, right? With human-sized weapons and human-sized things going on. And so it's like we're sort of justifying the design of the environments that we're fighting through here by saying, oh, these are the tiny microscopic realms of like this tiny little bird creature, like at a subhuman level. But then there's other parts of the environment design, like these plants that are growing here, which is like, hang on. If this was a tiny little bird in a tiny little bird-sized environment, why are there so many plants growing here, rendered in a way so as to appear like fully grown plants, sized relative to like human-sized characters? Wouldn't there, in an environment like this, be a bunch of mega plants, like plants that tower over our main protagonist, like where the leaves are like big enough to be platforms in themselves and things like that? Like, wouldn't that be a part of this kind of environment design if we're supposed to be having the feeling of being a tiny little creature in a miniature creature in a very big world where there are creatures that are much bigger than us that have like made lives and civilizations in the background? Why are so many of the plants in this environment? Why are so many of the things in this environment seemingly designed to our scale as like the normal human scale rather than? And again, this is something that a lot of games like this kind of struggle with. They struggle to situate their environments in a way that sort of makes sense contextually with the aesthetic narrative of the environment design. In the background, again, I don't want to pick on Well Dweller. Well Dweller looks great. Like, this fucking character design for this creature is fucking fantastic. When they're not in motion, when they're not doing the puppetry thing, looking at these things, I just kind of go, holy fucking shit, I want to see that thing be animated. Just not like that. Because, I'm sorry, if the Well Dweller devs ever see this, I'm sorry for ragging on your game like this. It just catalyzed a bunch of random other unconnected thoughts in my head about games like this, and part of what made Hollow Knight so good for me specifically. So you just had the unfortunate luck of the draw of being the thing in front of me when that thought sparked. I do quite like this idea, though, right? The thing I talk about, like situating the environment. This then, was this built by small bird scale creatures, or is inside of, like, I guess a human-sized well where you get a human-sized arm coming down to kill you? Because this certainly seems like it's sort of a little bird's nest that's been constructed in the background of like a human storehouse or room or whatever. It's towels in the background. Yeah, like there's an environmental inconsistency where I don't know if I'm supposed to understand this. Because like this here, for example, like this little roof thing, this little shelter that they've got here, that's bird scale and bird sized. But then the one that's over here in the background, that's clearly human scale and human sized. But they're also clearly the same asset. They use the same asset twice, which again, asset reuse is not a bad idea. But I can't get a good sense of what the scale is that we're supposed to be operating. Because here, like, oh, here the grass all of a sudden is so big as to be too big, like, so that we get the sense that we are small, but then all the other plants and almost everything else in the environment is sort of like not quite doing that. There's an inconsistency of scale in the environment. Again, other games do this a lot too. That just sometimes takes me out of it, where Hollow Knight, I think, was, in its category, a game that did an exceptionally good job of, again, not always perfectly, but an exceptionally good job of contextualizing the weirdness of its platforming environment in a way that makes sense with the place that you're going through. Because, like, why is there this floating platform in the forest kind of vibe, right? Like, questions that Hollow Knight also didn't always have good answers to, but most of the time it did, right? Where something like this, I really, really like, because here the scale is so clear, right? Here the scale is so clear that this is a human-sized environment. That's probably a human body that's laying on the floor. they were eating a pig and the pig is so much bigger than you. Here you feel small, tiny in a world that was made for and by giants, which is like a very good vibe for a game like this, which is clearly trying to mix the cutesy and adorable with the grimdark and horrifying. And then there's other times when it's like, I don't really get the sense that the character is that tiny relative to their environment. Like, the character here looks perfect sized. Yeah, anyway, I've harped on about that enough. What was the other thing? Undusted, right. Brief trailer, but I wanted to take a look at... Okay, that specific low poly... It reminds me a lot of... Fuck, what's it called? There's this small indie game. Developer has a new game coming out. It's about like driving cars around, where they like do a voxel graphics thing. But the point is, you pick up seeds and then you throw them at these post-apocalyptic environments, and then you place down like all sorts of post-apocalyptic stuff, right? Like old broken road signs and like burned out cars and things. And then the more you place down, the plants grow bigger. It has kind of that same vibe of like that specific mixing of low poly with pixel art and like I think something vaguely voxel-esque, maybe? I don't know. I really like that vibe. That specific low poly style that they have for the objects here. I really like that. I really appreciate that, because it's not low poly in the sense of, I mean, you probably could produce objects like this in a PlayStation, but you can see that it's low poly, but low poly made with modern technology. So, like, not quite with the same limitations that real, air quotes, real retro consoles would have had. But it works really well. Like, the way they render the transparency is like this dithering pattern as like a pixelated thing over the sponge so you can still see what you're doing. Generally, the approach to dithering that they're doing with the artwork in this little trailer here is like, I really like that. Because it doesn't feel like pixel art that's trying to be chunky for the sake of looking like pixel art. It feels like pixel art that understands what, like, the specific aesthetic purpose of dithering on something like a CRT monitor, which is to create the sense and feeling of a gradient that works. Like, look at that fucking key, the metal gradient across the thing there. That is actually really good. Beautiful uses of dithering there, actually. Really nice. Crunchy. That feels really good. I really like that. I just wanted to say that about that. Maybe I'll play that just as a relaxation game, because that aesthetically tickles like a really good part of my brain. And then I was just curious what the hell this is. Because the little trailer snippet we got.
Show me what you truly see.
I need to head up that mountain. My home's up there.
That's not exactly walking distance.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. That specific aesthetic of like the overgrown train station that's been like neglected for a long time, but you still got trains coming through and people living there. That vibe, it's such a specific vibe. Like I grew up a little bit out in the sticks, and that's the vibe of a number of train stations that I've sort of stood at on a summer's day waiting for my train to come through, or a replacement bus service more usually. I quite like that.
Sorry for dragging you on this trip.
Ooh,
For dragging you on this trip.
That's not a very good. Ooh, that's not a very good run cycle for someone who's carrying someone. I think he's kind of floating over the landscape.
Sorry for dragging you on this trip.
That doesn't feel like someone moving under a heavy weight. That feels like a guy who's skating on ice. That's not that like, I presume it's not like a platformer. It's more like a walking simulator with like the point is the relationship between the characters. I don't think that walking animation is very good.
Can't let a kid go up there alone.
Also, I'm gonna nitpick this, but what's happening with the light here? Why was that a thing of her, like, of her character design? I guess her character design is that she just has a paler face than her body? He doesn't, so I guess it's specifically an aesthetic. No, actually here it's... Okay, it's just some kind of quirk of the lighting engine then. It's just really noticeable here that it kind of looks like that's another head copy-pasted onto the wrong body.
I can't.
And the head doesn't seem to be lit at all by the same light that's lighting the same of the rest of the carriage for some reason.
Let a kid go up there alone.
Ooh, I do like the way that camera is put together, though.
They say I'm fading.
And I guess you actually get to adjust crunchy little camera settings for the pictures. Oh, that's interesting.
If anyone should be gone.
Yeah, it looks like the point of the game is less platforming and but it's more going to these, because certainly there's a lot of attention being paid to the vibes of the environment. Like, the vibes of this environment are fucking immaculate. Anyway, I should probably watch the trailer.
They say I'm fading away.
If anyone should be gone, it's failures like me. Not someone with their whole life ahead.
Yeah, there's definitely something weird about her, how lighting affects her face. Maybe that's intentional, though. Maybe that's like an aesthetic thing.
Every star up there is a flame.
If there's a god in the fire, would they see the moments that we capture?
Even the ones that show what's in our hearts.
Oh! Hang on. Oh, that's a cute creature design. That's a cute character design. And then, like, the fucking Ghibli-ass fucking grudge boar from Princess Mononoke-ass huge boar. And the horse with its perfect makeup and eyeliner. That horse is going to transform into a human or something, right? Okay, I do dig that. Yeah, it feels like that's the point. Like, the point is much more environmental exploration and vibes, and, like, the fucking late summer vibes of this are pretty fucking gorgeous. Like, the color palettes that they're using are really nice. Yeah, the lighting, like, I kind of can't get over how weird her face looks, the girl, in some of these shots, because the lighting just doesn't seem to touch the volume of her face for some reason. Maybe that's an aesthetic affectation, though. Like, maybe that's a thing that, because the lighting is correct on his face, so maybe that's something that's, like, she's meant to be a little uncanny because she's, like, fading away, and maybe she's, like, a ghost that has something to do with his internal journey, kind of. I don't know. But, like, look at the fucking vibes of this shit. This is some fucking... I mean, here it's partly the color palette, but there's definitely aspects here. Some of the approach to geometry, especially in the interior environments, it kind of reminds me of PS2 Metal Gear games. Which is a weird thing to say. I guess it's the approach to, like, material design and... Like, clearly it's going for a retro aesthetic, right? Like, I think this is very much like pulling a PS2, but with all of the, like, available rendering power. You can render 5 billion sprites on screen, kind of, or 5 billion models on screen.
When you make it back, I hope you grow up strong. Even when your best isn't enough, try to stay brave.
Okay,
if there's something you want to keep, capture it.
My fear is that the reason the kid's face looks weird is because they're doing that fucking anime thing where they're, like, overexposing and blowing out the face of the character in order to flatten it and, like, remove their nose as a piece of geometry in order to, like, it's that fucking weird-ass beauty standard aesthetic thing that they do to female characters especially, and that's why his face doesn't look that way. I hope it's more about trying to... Maybe it's about making her a little uncanny. Maybe she turns out to be a ghost in the end or something. But just the way that she has no lighting on her face. It's like there's no... You see how much shading, how much complex shading is happening on her body, and then her face is just this blank void where the light just doesn't seem to touch or generate any kind... Like her entire face is like a flat mask. That's the kind of thing that you could do as, like, a character design reveal where, like, she's, like, oh, she doesn't look quite uncanny enough to really be creepy, but something about her is a little off, and then at some point there's a reveal in the game, like, oh, she's a figment of his imagination. She's like a the ghost of a girl that he knew when he was a child, but who died, and he can't really remember her face, and that's why it's blank. That would be a very, very cool thing to do with a character design like this. I hope it's something like that. I hope that this oddness, the way that lighting just does not affect the geometry of her face at all. I kind of hope that that's what they're doing. But regardless, the environmental vibes of this, very much the fucking Breath of the Wild shot here, right? The environmental vibes of this. It's not a Breath of the Wild shot, by the way. It's a romantic shot of a landscape. And I say romantic not in the sense of like it's about romance between people, but romantic as in the aesthetic movement of romantic painting, where the smallness of characters are like contrasted against the vastness and overwhelming space that they occupy. Breath of the Wild does this many times because it's partly a game about its environment. But yeah, anyway. No, but like this is weird, right? It's not just my screen. I'm not the only one who's seeing how much like a death mask this character's face design is, am I? Because that feels too odd to be a coincidence. That feels like, you know what would be incredibly cool, but which is definitely not going to happen? They do kind of have the same hair, don't they, a little bit? What if this was a trans man? And this is the tomboyish girl identity that he left behind, but he's never dealt with the trauma of, like, coming to terms with his lost childhood and his girlhood. Or the other way around, that, like, this man is actually, like, he's sort of a fucked up burnout with tired eyes and, like, who sort of feels like his life has never gone anywhere. Could be a thing of, like, this is him as the child that he should have been, a girl, right? Like, who never got to live to adulthood because he repressed her so hard that it's basically killing her. She's fading away, right? And this final journey is about him, like, maybe coming to terms with realizing, oh shit, like, that you should get to have a chance to live, actually. And that would explain something about, like, the mask-like nature of her face, kind of. That would be interesting. I don't know, like, it's Shueisha Games. I don't know if they have a history of doing anything queer-related like that. That would be interesting. Like, if it was like because it feels from the wording in the trailer and, like, the way that the character's, like, going on this journey, it feels like a thing that's about him coming to terms with some kind of internal personal identity, right? Like, that feels very much what it is, where we're sort of establishing this sibling or father-daughter relationship kind of vibe between the characters, but he's very determined to bring her to some kind of resting place or something. Like, that feels like it has a personal identity thing going on. More likely, I would say it's like maybe it's a Silent Hill thing where it's like, this is the daughter who died because of his mistake and that's why he's so depressed, and then this is his chance to lay her to rest. It's probably something more like that. Just, they have kind of similar hairdos as a piece of character design. And in anything that's like sort of anime inflected, when two characters share a hairstyle, sometimes that's a very meaningful connection because hairstyles are so much about identifying characters in anything anime inflected. I don't know. I'm spitballing off of the barest hint of vibes. That would be cool, though. That would be interesting. Do they have the same eye color?
Me.
Hard to tell.
Not someone with
I think his eyes are brown.
Hey.
Man, I think I'm imagining a much more interesting game in my head than what it's probably actually going to turn out to be.
Is a flame.
But now I've made myself really
fire.
curious. I actually really want to know. I want to know what the deal is here. Like, is any of the nonsense that I've been speculating here, like, even remotely close to what's actually happening?
I hope you grow up strong. Even when your best isn't enough, try to stay brave. When you make it back, I hope you grow up strong.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm imagining, I think, probably a more interesting game in my head right now than it's actually going to turn out to be. But now I'm at the very least, when this is out, I'm at the very least going to look up like wikis and plot summaries to find out what's going on here. Because, like, his face is affected by light. And is that just the thing of, like, female characters aren't allowed to have facial features that's sort of annoying and tedious in some anime-inflected things? Or is it meaningful? Okay. I'm sort of talking myself in circles here, aren't I? That was a Nintendo Indie Direct thing. Kind of bare on things, but I did manage to stretch it up to a video that turned out to be 50 minutes long. Jesus fucking Christ, what's wrong with me? Oh, right, I have ADHD and too many opinions. And also, I just got back from a holiday, so I am unbelievably energized. I genuinely am. Well, I'm actually tired as fuck. I am dying on my feet here a little bit, and I need to go take my cats to the vet in a little bit. But I am actually unbelievably energized, and I want to do so many things. So, now to try and turn that energy towards my putative main channel, where I really need to get an episode of the boss designs of Elden Ring out soon. Also, we're doing Gaslight District and also some other things on this channel. I wanna build up a big backlog of things that I can put into early access, and then they can come out like every week, so there's always something. But that's for later. Right now, it's for cat vet thing. Sign up as a member of the channel or my Patreon or stuff if you want to help me pay for vet bills for my cats. Thank you, bye.